So we are going to move now. We're going to be listening to Tina Powney. And Tina, as you heard earlier, is the Director and Executive Manager of the Gallawah.
Yes.
And they are empowering change in people's lives. And Tina will share her story and talk about some of the great leadership lessons that we all need to learn. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Welcome to the Youth Summit. I'd like to start by giving my respects to elders past and present and reflecting on my youth. So I'm just going to go through a bit of a story with you, very holistic, brief story. My story started back when I was 1. I grew up in out-of-home care and I learnt to fend for myself. Not having a sense of family, of belonging, being part of a community or a mob, it's a significant part of many young people's own story. Wanting to belong, to be somebody, to matter, to be loved, and okay for who you are as you're part of your emotional DNA. When this is ripped from young people through abuse, homelessness, illness, disability, violence, it places a young person in a vulnerable place, a hurting place, and a lost place. There is, of course, so much more to my story, and I might get to write about it one day. I can say through my own child of me being hurt, I can take you through the healing of my words, and I can say that I matter. I can then look at young people through the eyes of my own experiences and extend and continue the rage within. I can look in other young people and who lived a life of vulnerability in the eyes and say that I'm able to walk with you. Encourage you today is a fresh day. Family does matter. And the other part of my story, I'm a mum. I have a son who is 21 years of age who lives with a disability, who has crossed the path with the justice system and is vulnerable. His journey taught me to delve back to my own vulnerability and show respect for not only his needs, but the needs for our youth, trying to find their way in a world that has been incredibly unkind to many of them. In so many ways, when trouble visited our family one night, we were confronted with reality that young people at risk need to be reconnected with their community. They need a safe place to be themselves and discover their next step into adulthood. I'd like to finish with my personal journey about dealing with trouble. Instead of holding on to the injustice of my son's situation, remaining angry, I decided to look at his needs and so many Aboriginal children, young people and adults living with a disability. I started Gallawah. When I sat at my table at home with my family and our son was missing and he was currently serving a sentence with a disability, I would wait for phone calls. Learning how to navigate the justice system, he just couldn't call. We just had to wait. We began the life when our phones rang, we'd all run to see who was calling. He would get a few minutes to tell us he was okay, and then it would end. I would live like this in my home for months. Well, it's been the last 3 years. Our whole lives have changed. We've carried our phones with us and our lives were living holding our mobile phones until he would call. I've decided that I wanted to make change and put what's happening to us into empowering change. Gallawah is a therapeutic service for community, making change for all communities, supporting participants with a disability, mental health, homelessness, or in the justice system. Gallawah Mob has no wrong door. We support and care for everybody with a disability, the whole family. We attend court. We make sure participants have support, be heard, able to navigate the legal system and understand their court outcomes. It's a journey with the whole family to understand justice and the release. If the participant is sentenced into the prison system, Gallawah Mob keep the connection. We visit, we have Zoom meetings, making sure our participants' needs are met. Then on release, we support our participants into housing, teaching them life skills, cooking, cleaning, and maybe just taking them down the street to the supermarket to buy groceries and make a meal. We have participants right across Victoria and part of New South Wales. We have grown in the last 10 months. We have over 30 staff, from therapists, social workers, support coordinators, support workers, and nurses. We have been able to support so many participants and empower change. In the future, we hope to have housing for youth with disabilities, prisoners who need support on release, and a healing centre for our community to come together, who have complex upbringing and would challenge any of us to survive or do something about it. Finally, my experiences taught me the need for connection. Being heard and understood begins to restore hope for a better future. Young people are our future. This summit is an opportunity for us to listen to each other, to hear the voice of our own hurting child within, find a creative way to turn our pain into healing, to allow healing to make a difference for ourselves and our family, our community, and the world we live in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tina. Look, your story is incredibly powerful. This is a story of yourself and people around you who could have made a different choice, right? And you took an incredibly difficult and painful and unjust situation, and now you have, you know, really moved into action in a very powerful and supportive way. Shane has put in the chat there, it's our role to include people to help avoid the disconnect, right? That's huge. And it's not just the disconnect, there's a disconnect between people, there's a disconnect with nature as well. And we need all of those things to now come together. And he says, you know, that it's taught in schools, they take connectedness very seriously as it's a positive behavior. And that's exactly what the Gallawah group are doing, right? Thank you so much. You talk about vulnerability. This is important for us all to think about. Remember I said earlier, it is body, mind, spirit. It's not just our minds, right? Some of the greatest minds in the world have created some of the most dangerous things in the world. So we need to have our hearts open as well, and we need to come from our gut as well, right? To come up with solutions that are beneficial, not negative. You talk about justice in a way that's just so real and so, you know, you are so connected to this. So what I would like everybody to do now, I just want you to, we're not going to go into breakout rooms. We're just going to stop for a minute, right? You can turn your screen off if you want for a minute. And I want you to deeply reflect. You can shut your eyes. I just want you to think about what Tina has shared. And then I want you to think of some questions you might like to ask Tina. So Victor, in 1 minute, we're going to come back with people asking questions or comments, right? Comments for Tina. She's opened her heart to us now. So let's all be quiet for 1 minute. So I think we'll come back to you, Tina. And if we've got lots of people saying thank you very much in the chat. Sav is saying it's really true. It's positive behaviour to be able to connect with your school and community, and what a difference that makes for people, right? So I'm wondering if you have a question or a comment for Tina, Can you put your virtual hand up and then we'll see you in the lineup. So is anyone there would like to ask Tina a question or make a comment? There you go. Victoria, thank you. Would you like to unmute?
Yeah. I've got a question. How did you change your mindset from like being hurt and now like wanting to start your own business and company? Like how did that like change your mindset?
Thank you, Victoria, for the great question. I was actually sitting at my table when my son was in custody, and this is before COVID started, and I went down to Melbourne and I was speaking to some other community members waiting to go in to see their son in custody. And everybody told me the same story. Their loved one had a disability or had been in an accident and had a disability, and they were sitting in the justice system and they just couldn't navigate it. And, you know, my son has autism and, you know, mental health issues, and he was only 18. And, you know, even for him to fill out a form when he was transferred to a new prison, he couldn't do that. So I just went home one day and quit my full-time job and just sat at my table and told my family what my dream was. And it started from there. I started off with 3 staff. I think we have 35 today. So wow. Yeah, and it's just amazing the work we've done. And yeah, so we all walk together as staff and we all have an input on how Gallawah is driven. So it's a whole different model. So that's how it all started, Victoria. It was something very close to my heart and I wanted to empower change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great question, Victoria. It really is. It's absolutely key. You know, we have choices for everything, for all our behaviours, and even when we are hurt. I think that's a wonderful question. How did you change your mindset? So yeah. What Tina's really showing us is incredible leadership, because she could have made many other choices. So yeah, thank you. Does anyone else have a question or just a comment for Tina? Here we go. Bridget, thank you.
Hi, Tina. I just wanted to know, how do you like keep going when things are getting really hard, or, you know, when something goes bad with your son, or, you know, like we all have those moments where things just not going how we plan, or, you know, whatever that may be. How do you keep going and how do you keep pushing through that?
I always think about the higher power. I always go, we're all got a direction. We just got to hold on for the ride. So my son was sentenced yesterday. So he's been in the system a very long time. And last week he was refused a corrections order because he wore shorts and not pants to the corrections meeting on Zoom because he's got sensory issues. So we adjourned it, and I just said, it is what it is. And he'll be home in 14 days. So it's, yeah, I think it's about getting up in the morning and staying for the day, not thinking about what happened behind you in the revision mirror. I think it's about looking in the windshield, having a GPS, have a direction. There's going to be bumpy roads, there's going to be smooth roads, but I think hanging on for the ride and just being kind and just go, it's live for today. Today's Friday, I'm living for Friday.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay.
My goodness. Look, these are great questions. This is exactly what we need, and that is a powerful, powerful answer. April, I think you have something to say.
Hi, Tina. I just wonder what the word Gallawah actually means and what it means to you, more importantly.
So Gallawah, my husband's a Barappa Yorta Yorta man, and his grandfather's last name is Gallawah, and we put AH as Aboriginal health on the end of it.
Right.
So we focus a lot on the Aboriginal community, but we focus on everybody. It doesn't matter, you know, the cold community. I don't want another mum to sit at the table like I did with my heart broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to empower change, that we all walk together. We're all Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, April. Good
Thank
question. Yeah, that inclusiveness, Tina, we all walk together.
Yeah.
Right? We all walk together. Now, Sav wants to say something to you. Sav?
Okay.
Hi Tina, I just want to say a huge thank you for sharing your story, and that's a really admiring story to just keep going when things are tough and showing that your beliefs and your admire to help your son and to just show the world who you are. And I think it's a really special thing to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Sav. Thank you so much.
Sav, that's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And just to speak up like that, and we love your posters behind you. They actually say a lot too.
Yeah.
Tina, yeah, I just want to say a deeply special thanks, because you're sharing something deeply personal, and boy, we can learn, so much through people going to that vulnerable place, right? And then sharing that. It's extraordinary what you are doing in your team. And Tina's told us a little bit about how they work. It's this very, equitable workplace, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where everybody is part of the solution. So
Yep.
extraordinary work. Thank you. Can everybody please, put your virtual hands up
Thank
there
you.
for Tina. And we want to say thank you to the Gallawah organisation, because they are one of the key supporters of this Nelson Mandela Youth Summit this year. Thanks, Tina. And
Thank
we
you.
will be in touch. I want to get to know you so much better. Thank you.
Well, we hope you loved that presentation from Tina at the Nelson Mandela Youth Leadership Summit 2021. The proceedings, the quotable quotes will all be on the Centre for Optimism website, so we'd love you to visit. Fabulous speeches from Susanna Sheed, Jason Wood, the American Consul General. So lots and lots of material, lots of good stuff for youth leadership. So go to the website and you'll find pages dedicated to these proceedings. And if you'd like to get involved with the Centre for Optimism, we'd welcome your participation. Have a great day.